right, we are live. Join us, everybody. This is Kyle Crawford with Realty Home Advisors. We have Isaiah and Ron. Thanks for joining us, guys, and take it away.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you guys are doing awesome. Saying hello here from Rochester, New York, to the RHA family, both in Florida and in upstate New York. And want to say a special shout out if you're watching this to Tony Bingo, who came on board with RHA not too long ago. And Ron, tell us about the details of that listing quick.
Well, he had his first listing with us as a member of our company, and he listed it at 310, and apparently he got 350 for it and 5 offers, and he's blown away. He's saying it's probably his new sign that helped him. So
that's
pretty
awesome.
proud of Tony. That's a great job.
That's great. That's awesome. So, all right. So jumping into today's topic, we're going to be talking about, we've been talking about prospecting and the importance of it. One of the things I saw yesterday that just blew my mind is this real estate coach basically doing this in-depth training on Instagram stories. And, and I'm sitting there thinking like, wow, this is okay. This is good. Great, digital marketing, Instagram stories. And then I'm thinking about who her audience is. Her audience is a group of people that probably don't have a really big influence, like a huge social sphere of business to reach out to yet, because a lot of them are newer. And I'm sitting here thinking about like how this advice is going to actually serve anything. And what I mean by that is like, I think social media is great, but if you're going to be spending more time focusing on doing social posting and Instagram stories than you are prospecting, your business, in my opinion, is virtually dead in the water. So I wanted to open up, the conversation about that and just let everyone else's thought. Like, am I wrong? Like, is my mind going in the wrong direction when I see that and hear that? Like that, that maybe like for a newer person, spending more time doing Instagram stories than actually reaching out to clients and prospecting and filling your pipeline is maybe not the best advice for a newer agent or an agent that's struggling to get business in their pipeline.
I think you're just basically waiting for the phone to ring. I mean, you got to make the phone ring. There's a huge difference. And when it comes to prospecting, new people have trouble. I mean, if they're not trained or have somebody there to tell them how to build an SOI from the first day they start to be in the business, because that's going to be 65% of their livelihood for the rest of their life. Right. And if in fact they cultivate it the right way. But to do this, it's one little tiny part of prospecting, but that might come later.
Yeah.
This is not up front as far as I'm concerned, but that's my opinion.
Right. And look, we have a awesome social media publishing plan that we teach our clients and our agents to do. I think that if you're spending more time doing social media though than you are actually prospecting, that's when it becomes a problem, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's when it becomes an issue. And remember, prospecting can happen by phone. It can happen by through text message. It can happen through Facebook Messenger, but just there's a difference between branding and actually generating business, right? Those are two different things. Now, yeah, you'll get an inbound lead once in a while, from those efforts, but is it enough to actually build and scale your business, right? And that's what we have to ask ourselves, because especially when you're brand new and you don't have big teams, you see these people that have these awesome social media platforms and campaigns. They're either spending half their day doing it or more, or they have a great social media team behind them, right? Actually doing it and making it work, right? So I think it's important if you're doing 20, 30 transactions, or you're just getting started, or you're trying to scale, you only have so much time in the day and so many resources. So you have to ask yourself, what is the quickest way that I can scale the amount of transactions that I'm doing? And I'm here to tell you, it's not through Instagram stories. Okay. So it's not the quickest way to scale your business. Now it's a decent part of it, but you just got to keep in balance. So let's talk about why the industry promotes those type of things, and why the industry is not talking about the reality of focusing on filling your pipeline, focusing on lead conversion. And why are all these experts out there trying to say that trying to not just have that conversation around lead conversion. Kyle, I want to hear from you because you're a millennial. I fall right on that millennial borderline.
Me too.
I want to hear from
Me
somebody,
too.
Yeah, Ron does too. I want to hear from somebody that, you're growing up in an era where that, social media is a lifestyle. Obviously I am too in a way, but I think we're all, even no matter what age bracket, we're kind of, it's changing in our culture. But yeah. I want to hear from you. Like, what are your thoughts on that? What do you think the message is out there? Have you ever been lured into that way of thinking that there's some secret sauce of generating, inbound leads? Like, what's your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, you see those advertisements you see advertisements a lot for, how to do this on social media, or how to grow this on social media, or grow, a lot. But I think at the end of the day, it's not easy to grow a social media following, by any means. But I think people feel that it's easier to do that than it is to go out and prospect. Like, they'd rather just sit there and message people on their phone than actually pick up the phone and prospect, or call leads. I feel like it's almost easier for people to want to do that than it is to actually prospect. So it's a balance of both. I feel like, you have to be able to pick up the phone. You have to be able to do that side of the business, but social media is important as well.
Yep, absolutely. I agree. One of the things I think that I would like to see from our industry is training people alternative ways to prospect that complement the phone, because you can prospect using social media. People just don't really do it. You can individually make Facebook Messenger is one of the most underutilized prospecting tools right now in our industry, period. Yeah. Underutilized. You have instant contact with people that are going to see your message right away. It's almost as good as text messaging, right?
Almost better, because you actually have their contact info.
Yeah.
If you don't have their cell phone, you can just message them right on Facebook.
Yeah. And so we recommend, if you're with RHA, that you reach out in some way, shape, or form. And if it's not through the phone, or a combination through the phone, that remember, Facebook Messenger with your SOI is an extremely powerful tool. It's a way to have a conversation. We have the scripts and the dialogues there. You go to the ultimatelistingmachine.com, you log in there. Yeah, they're written out like phone scripts, but you can just reword them a little bit and let them know that you're there. Let them know that, let them know why you're reaching out. And with your SOI in particular, there's 3 different scripts there. There's one that's direct and to the point. There's one that's kind of like a market update, and there's one that comes across like a consumer advocate. So, let's talk a little bit about that. Like, how can you use Facebook Messenger, and what would that message sound like? So Ron, let's bring it back to the phone. As a general rule, if you're prospecting over the phone and you're going to contact your SOI, I know we talked about this a little bit before, but just for the people that are watching this again, what should that conversation kind of sound like when you're working your SOI?
Well, basically, it's got to be, number one, I always believe if you're prospecting, it's a business call. If you started off like, hey, how you been? I haven't seen you. How's the kids? And oh, by the way, you're making that priority to the bottom of the list. My priority is to first tell you why I'm calling you, and that is to ask you, number one, do you know anybody? Number two, do you need help? Do you have any real estate questions? And then, by the way, how's the kids? Okay, hurry up and talk. I got to make another call. The key here is that some of that scripting it's always got to be friendly, but you're calling somebody that obviously would know who you are. Like we've talked, we've worked with our agents who didn't know what to do when they haven't talked to somebody they were acquainted with for any reason in a long time. And best thing to do is ask them, do you remember who I am? Mm-hmm. It's a great icebreaker, because now they're curious. Yeah. Who are you? Do you owe me money? Why are you calling me? So it's important that you keep this in mind. And when we're talking about all this technology, and again, I stress it all the time, there's so many things you need to be doing to market yourself and to prospect. It's not one thing. Some of the things will make you more money than others, but if something made you some money, you still do it. But depending on where it falls in your marketing plan.
Right. So Kyle, what does it look like? What do we teach our agents to do from a prospecting and marketing standpoint on a daily basis? Like, for example, when you wake up in the morning, what is Tuesday looking like for you today?
Yeah, so Tuesday is an SMS to our an SMS follow-up. So we're going to send a text message. We're going to follow up to any internet leads that we have either met or we have not met. So it's following up on a meeting that we had last week or the week before, somebody that we have met, somebody in our SOI, or anybody that we have not met, right, is new lead, new business, nobody we've actually sat down and met with or gone over anything with before. So
that's prospecting, right? So you send out the message, you're making contact. Again, real estate is a contact sport, right? So if we just log into our system, and a lot of people, whether you're using our system or not, text messaging is a feature within your CRM that is, in my opinion, one of the most underutilized prospecting tools that there is. And Kyle, when you send a text message out, whether it be like a broadcast text message or you're doing it on an individual basis, what's your response rate? And then, let's say per 100 text messages, what's your response rate overall to that text message, general response? And then on average, how many like warm-ish opportunities come out of them per 100?
Yeah, the last couple months we've been at about like a 35% response rate. And out of that, we're probably at like 15% are have, we have a good opportunity to get that.
And I want you to think about that. So out of per 100, we have somewhere between 10 to 15 good opportunities to follow up with by sending out a text message. like think about that. And here we are spending most of our time, and I'm hearing these influencers and the coaches talking about spending hours on Instagram, posting pictures and stories. And again, I'm not saying not to do that, but it should never, ever trump your prospecting activities. You put somebody who's consistently making outreaches consistently by text message and phone and email up against somebody who's spending an hour on social media, and you track them over the course of the month. Who do you think is going to have more business at the end of the month? Who? Not the person posting on social media. I promise you, they will not have more business. And here's the thing. I know I'm actually consulting somebody right now who spends $500,000 on inbound lead generation, $500,000 on inbound lead generation a year. Okay. And their agents still aren't busy enough. They still don't have enough inbound leads to keep themselves busy. So unless this individual creates a culture of outreach, okay, most of his investment is going to get flushed down the drain, number one. Number two, we are doing ourselves as a real estate community, we are doing ourselves an injustice if we let ourselves believe that if we don't prospect consistently, that we're going to be able to hit our goals, right? That we want, if that's not a key part of it. And that's really the message today is with RHA specifically. If you're in our world, you're going to hear us talking about this all the time because it's our glue. And I love Ron's story last time. You can find creative ways. If you're not that person that likes to pick up the phone and cold call, there's so many other ways to prospect. It's getting the directory from a local business that maybe your friend or family member is associated with. Like I remember Ron told a story when you left Wegmans and went full-time real estate, you grabbed your Wegmans roster and you got a ton of listings just by going down through that, right? Or making contact with local businesses and developing relationship with other home service companies and bringing them in, making them a part of your SOI and putting them doing a TV show with them, and then developing your referral database, right? Of different channels of ways you can get referrals. That's all prospecting, right? So that's all a form of prospecting. There's so many different ways to attack it. But Ron, how much time a day do you think that if you're having mid-level success versus you're kind of hitting that rainmaker team leader status and you got a growing team? Let's start off with, like, if you're just getting ramped up here, how much time should you spend a day building your pipeline?
Minimum would be 2 hours.
Come on in.
Minimum. And if you don't do it faithfully, and it's not 2 hours today, 20 minutes tomorrow, it's 2 hours every day.
Yep.
In other words, you put it in your calendar, it's there. It's an appointment with yourself. And if someone says, I want you to come over and talk to me possibly about selling my home. Okay, I can be there in 2 hours because I have other appointments. And people, they don't get it. You're supposed to be busy. If you say, oh, I can't, I'm prospecting, I'm trying to find business. Wait a minute, I'm trying to give you business and you don't want to come over here? You know, the bottom line is everything's an appointment, and there's certain things you make as an appointment. Prospecting is your appointment. Now, if you can't faithfully do it for 2 hours, figure out why. Why? Can I do it for an hour? And if you do it for an hour and you make $5,000 one day, how many hours do you think you're going to do it for now? Maybe you'll go a little longer. Bottom line is, it's got to be consistent. As you start to ramp up your business, it will get harder to find the time. So what's your excuse? I don't have the time. I'm so busy. Yeah, you're so busy doing business you don't have any business coming in later. And what happens when this all dies? Yeah. You're broke. So the bottom line is then get somebody, start to delegate so you can still do that time slot.
Yeah, I think it's a really great point. Something that should never be compromised is what I call phase one activities, right? Is the activity of bringing in new business and following up with people in your pipeline, in your SO. It's something that no matter what's happening, that pipeline activity can never, ever be compromised. And what's the beautiful thing is if we can discipline ourselves to do that, whether we're a brand new agent or a team, you start creating more predictable results, right? Like you start creating more predictable outcomes, which in real estate is huge. Ron, how many people have you seen just get knocked out of the business because they can't stabilize their cash flow?
Isaiah, it's overwhelming, the number of people that get the license, get going, get something started, next thing you know, they disappear.
Yep.
And it's so sad. And the minute something goes wrong with the market, we lose a lot of people.
Yep.
And, you know, all the rainmakers love that. It's got one more business for me, you know. Yep. But, you know, and again, you got to, the strong survive in any situation. Strong will survive. And, you know, it's just, and think of this. It's prospecting is every single second. If you're out and you hand somebody a business card, is that prospecting?
Yes, it is.
People don't get it. It's a lot of stuff, you know, but everybody thinks I got to call people I don't know. No, it's not just that.
Right.
But that is maybe low priority for a lot of people. The key is that find things you love to do, but that you can be successful at, and then start adding the other things you have more confidence.
That's really good. And we've been talking about overcoming the fear of prospecting. And I think one of the biggest things that I see is what I call the paralysis of analysis. Right? So like,
I love that.
You know what I mean? Like literally, like it's thinking about thinking. It's like let's think about doing it, and we overthink it, and we get worried, and then fear sets in.
Talk yourself right out of it.
Yeah, we just talk ourselves right out of it. So how do we overcome the paralysis of analysis? Right. So like, how do we overcome that so we don't end up in a situation where we're just spinning our wheels?
It's discipline. And so many people are afraid to try something new. It's like going to a restaurant and someone says, would you like to taste this? Oh, no, I don't. How do you know? It might be your favorite dish from now. It's all about what we think is going to happen. Same thing with tasting stuff. I think it's make me sick. It'll do that. No. Don't think what's going to happen. You got to think about what you're going to make happen. Yeah. That's the key. The confidence level to do it. And again, we keep going back to the same old thing. Next. It's business. Don't take it personal. Yeah. Just do it. You've got to make 100 calls possibly to get one good lead. 100 calls. If you get a good lead in the second call, you still have 98 to make. Maybe you'll get another one. It doesn't stop. So, I mean, the key is don't overthink it, like you say, because if you start to, well, what if they say this? I don't know what to do about that. What if well, then go get some more training so that you can take care of it.
Right. Memorize the objection. Kyle, how do you deal with it? Because obviously, you've trained coach, you've been in the trenches as an inside sales agent, just like I have in the past. But you're actively prospecting every day, both for the brokerage and also to bring new agents into our team. So how do you overcome the fear of rejection and the paralysis of analysis?
I just do it. I think like Ron said, where you don't think about what could happen, what you're gonna make happen. I feel like if you have those skills, you have the confidence. It doesn't matter what the other person's gonna say on the other end of the phone, because I know I'm in control, and I just always had a very good attitude of whatever this person can throw at me, I can handle. Right. So I think that's always helped me. At the end of the day, like I don't know, I'm such an enthusiastic or energetic guy. I just do it. Right. I don't overthink a lot of things. I think that's my personality that helps. But maybe somebody's more of a thinker, maybe more introverted, that's a little more nervous to get on the phone. They want to they tend to overthink things. I think if you just have to trust in the process, right? You have to trust in your scripts. You have to trust in your coaching, your training. And at the end of the day, you just, something inside you just do it. Right.
Yeah, man. And I know that's a huge point is, I did a little training yesterday, and those were kind of my 2 points. Number one is don't overthink it. And number two, when you feel the fear come on, just do it anyway. Right? Like just, like people are like, well, how do you overcome the fear of rejection? Well, when you feel it, you just do it anyway. You don't think it, you just go, you just move, you keep moving. And
it's exhilarating.
What's that?
When you kind of push past that wall.
But here's what happens. You build the mental toughness, you build the mental muscle, and it gets a little bit easier every time. And your skill gets better and everything comes together. Now, if you're a team leader and you're like, oh, well, this doesn't apply to me. Yes, it does, because you should be spending a lot of your time and energy making sure you're developing a culture where your agents prospect, your agents outreach, and you're developing a system that promotes their success in doing that, right? Because that's where you're, in my opinion, you're doing them an injustice. It's harder to hit their goals if you don't have that culture, right? And it's not about what we like or don't like. It's about success. Success isn't all about doing the things that we like always, right? So just keep that in mind. Just to wrapping up here and concluding, that when you feel that fear, detach yourself from the outcome, I think is what I heard from Ron. And what I heard from Kyle is when you get a no, you're just one step closer to the yes, and just take action. So no's are just part of the process, right? It's part of your process. It's the same thing as waking up in the morning and brushing your teeth. If you're in real estate, it's part of the day. It's part of the process. If you're going to be doing it, and you cannot take it personal. And I don't mean to be too blunt about it, but I think if we're going to take rejection personal, the real estate business is probably not the best business for you to be in, or probably any business. It's just probably not the right fit, and that's okay, right? So, or just hang out and enjoy the culture and have some fun and learn. That's okay too. But we're here to make money, right? Most of us, and have success with our family and help our communities, right? So if you're here to do that, you got to prospect. Any final words, guys?
Isaiah, when you talk about rejection, I remember I used to tell this story. When I was really, really active agent many years ago, I used to come in the office, and I used to say hi to people, whatever. Then I would say, I am in an amazing mood today and I don't deserve it. So I'm going to call 4 sell-by owners right now. That'll get me out of my good mood.
There you go. That's one way to do it.
So, boy, I'll tell you, when you got done with them.
Oh yeah, it'll wake you up for sure.
I usually was still in a good mood because I got an appointment at least, so I was pretty.
Well, good. And I think it's an important thing too, Ron, is that when you challenge yourself, that's one of the things that is on my daily checklist every day, is to do something that makes me feel uncomfortable, or do something that's going to challenge myself.
Yep. Because
the more that I do that, that's where I develop the skill, right? I don't develop skills by finding the path of least resistance, right? And usually the path of least resistance, you end up broke, right? Now, and there's a fine balance between working smart and actually going out there and developing the skills to do it the right way. And here's the thing: if you can land for sale by owners, you can work with any type of lead, right? That's the exciting part. You can work with any type of lead, right? If you can call the top dog in your market to try to recruit them, and you can have an intelligent conversation with the top dog, right? You can have a conversation with anybody, right? You know, so challenge yourself, whatever you're doing, challenge yourself today. Just be a little bit better than yesterday. And Kyle, do you have anything else?
No, I think this has been a great talk. Fired up for today.
Awesome. So Isaiah, Colton here, Ron and Kyle with Realty Home Advisors. And if you're listening to this, just take it to heart, figure out how you can implement some of these strategies in your business. And we will see you on Thursday. Bye, everybody.